done.
Avatar: The Way of Water.
Avatar: The Way of Water was directed by James Cameron, of course, and also written by James Cameron, of course, with some help from Rick Hoffa, or Jaffa, and Amanda Silver. They helped him out tremendously. I don't know how much they helped him out. And once again stars Sam Worthington as Jake Sully and Zoe Saldana as Neytiri. This video is going to be a little bit different than my previous videos, which I'll get into in a minute. But first, of course, I gotta do a brief summary of the plot of the movie. Sadly, Nick Reganis is gone. I don't know where he went, but he didn't write this one, so here we go. Jake Sully lives with his newfound family formed on the extrasolar moon, Pandora. Once a familiar threat returns to finish what was previously started, Jake must work with Neytiri and the army of the Na'vi race to protect their home. That's a pretty bland summary, and it doesn't really tell you much, which actually is pretty good, because you should just go see this movie without knowing much about it, other than seeing the first Avatar. Hello? Is this thing on? Testing? Lining up the frame? All right. Hey, my beard's gone. So, a few things have happened since I started making this review. First of all, I don't know what I'm doing. Second of all, no, when I saw Avatar: The Way of Water, I saw it in 2D. Don't see it in 2D. That's the first thing. Second thing, I saw it in a theater that had a either a big fat smudge on the lens, or people don't know how to work back there and it's out of focus, but it was slightly blurry throughout the whole thing. That tells you a lot, because I'm still high praising that. The visuals were incredible, even though they were slightly blurry when I saw it. Anyway, since then, I saw it in 3D. See Avatar: The Way of Water in 3D. That's your main takeaway here. See the movie in 3D. Totally changes the experience, makes it better. That's kind of the whole point of why you should see it and why I'm talking about it. Besides that, in the first attempt at this, when I had a beard, long story short, I was saving that, mainly the big fat mustache with the little scraggle behind it, for something I'm shooting, which is coming out soon. Stay tuned for that, more details to come. Anyway, I realized I was talking about the wrong stuff in that, and I was treating it more like I was doing a MBW movie exploration, which this is not. It's a review. The main point of this is for me to get you to see it if you haven't already. If you have seen it, love the movie with me. All right, let's get started. Besides that, I'm gonna be speaking a little quicker than normal maybe, compared to an exploration, because I'm trying to condense my feelings on this to get you to see it and to not make this a 30-minute exploration video. It's a review. All right, so maybe I'll slow down a little bit because I don't really talk like this. I'm not one of those YouTuber guys, and okay, let's get a little bit down more to the level that I am normally at, but slightly faster. Let's go. So to sum up, I'm gonna tell you in this video why you should see Avatar: The Way of Water, why it's better than the original film, and some closing thoughts that I have on the film. Let's start with the most obvious. Avatar: The Way of Water / Avatar 2, compared to the first film, improved in every single way. Okay, go down the list of filmmaking, things you normally see in movies, check mark, improved every single one of them. That's what it is compared to the first one, and the first one, in many ways, is a masterpiece technically and visually, and we'll go on and on about the story thing. I'll get into a little bit of detail about that, but the second one improves literally every single aspect of it. So visually, the world is incredible. It looks real. It's really hard to distinguish the real world from the CG world, especially when they put human, real characters next to the CGI. You can't really tell. If anything, there's certain shots where you could swear that the Avatar characters are real and then the humans are like a CGI body double, which I'm sure there was plenty of that, but it's just crazy. It's all blended together. The world looks real, looks incredible. The only clue that you have that it's not real is the fact that Pandora looks awesome and beautiful and Earth is a piece of crap. So that's when you know it's not real, because that beautiful thing you're looking at doesn't actually exist. I wish it did. I'm sure many of you wish it exists, and we could just leave this piece of crap world behind and go to Pandora. I know James Cameron wants that. As much as he wants to save the Earth through these films, he also wants to go to Pandora and live there. He built a little sliver of it in Disneyland, or wherever that is, I think, in Florida. I want to go. So the visuals alone, you should go see the movie. It's incredible to see how far they've come with all that stuff. It's insane. Not only the technical detail and the artistry behind, designing the CGI elements and animating it and all the crazy stuff. I don't know, it's way above my head, but besides that, how it was even done. When you think about how they shot it, when using motion capture suits, you know, working in basically a warehouse, and it's just crazy. Even knowing that, it's hard to fathom, okay, so how did that come to be with what you're seeing? It's crazy. So that alone, you should see the movie. So besides that, Avatar: The Way of Water is just an incredible experience. Probably the best experience you're ever gonna have watching a film until Avatar 3 comes out, and then 4, and then 5. So basically, to sum it up, Avatar: The Way of Water is an experience. It's not just a film. I'd say it's more of a film than the first one. The first one was basically just an experience in a different time, and at the time, I also thought that was incredible, and it still is incredible in its own right. But this film is just better at every level, like I stated before. Besides that, this time around, the story and the characters are much better. The emotion level of the story, the character development, the heart and soul of the film, it's all a lot better than it was on the first film. That's basically what I can say about the story compared to the first. It's just, it feels like it has a heart and a soul, while the first one, it just was a little more void of that. But this time around, it's there. There's actually powerful moments. Yes, nothing new, you've seen it before, but that doesn't matter, because in most cases with films and their stories, it's not what's inside the box, it's how you wrap it. Most things you've seen in films have already been done before. You probably don't even realize it, but it's the same thing happening in most of these films. It's just presented in a different way. And that's the key. It's how you wrap it, how you present it. It's not the core of the idea. Because like I said, most films you've seen the same thing thousands of times. It's not just remakes and reboots. You don't even have to do that, because most ideas from films, it's just a retelling of the same exact story. It's just a little more obvious in certain cases, like Avatar, for example, people comparing it to Pocahontas in space and Fern Gully and all that shit. You're no doubt gonna hear people saying that in reviews. I've already seen it, just like the first film. People say the same thing. It's a feast for the eyes, it's incredible. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but you know, same story. I didn't care about the characters. You know, it's Fern Gully too. It's all this stuff. First of all, that's not true. Second of all, they're not taking into account what I just said, because that's fact. And besides that, if you want to compare it to Pocahontas or Fern Gully, I'll wipe my ass with both of those films. I'd rather watch Avatar: The Way of Water and the first Avatar. That's just a much better package. I'd rather watch that story. So don't hit me with that argument, because would you rather watch Pocahontas or Fern Gully or Avatar? I'm pretty sure most people would say Avatar and Avatar: The Way of Water, if that's really what they think anyway. So a little more detail on the story. This time around, Jake Sully and Neytiri have a family, which, oh, you know, nothing new there. They have a family, blue. It makes a difference. It adds depth and dimension that wasn't there before. And also, when I saw Avatar, you know, obviously it was a long time ago. I was a lot younger. I didn't have my own family. This time, watching Avatar: The Way of Water, I have my own family. I'm married, I have a daughter. So if you have those elements and you watch the film, I think you'll appreciate that more. You might connect with it more. It's kind of obvious. If there's certain things you connect with, you know, you're just gonna feel it more. But with family, that's something that most people should be able to connect with at some point in their lives. And it makes it all that much more powerful. There's 2 or 3 scenes, without giving away any spoilers, because this is not really a spoiler review, that really are powerful. And yeah, you've seen it before. Who cares? They were done well, and it affected me. That just shows you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you've seen it before. What matters is, did it affect you? And if it didn't affect you, there's also a chance that your mind is already poisoned by that idea, like, oh, I've seen this before, and you're just not even letting it connect with you, which is not how you want to see this movie. That's not what this movie is about. In order to truly appreciate this movie, you have to understand that it was done like this on purpose. James Cameron knows what he's doing. He's trying to give you an experience like you haven't had before. If you look at his track record, he's always trying to innovate in filmmaking. He's trying to elevate what has been done before, what he's done before, and he's done that on most of his films. Now, James Cameron isn't known for making these complex, mind-boggling freaking ideas, okay? He makes stories that connect with a lot of people, that a lot of people like. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. And having said that, he's made 2 movies that, when they came out, they were the most successful of all time. That tells you he knows what he's doing. Simple story or not, it works. There's a point to it. That's like a vessel to all the other stuff he's trying to deliver to you, attached to it, so it can be delivered to you and you can accept it, which has worked. The proof is in the pudding there. This is a movie where you really have to give yourself over to simplicity, because that's what it's about. And simplicity is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. This movie proves simple is good. Simple is really good. And if you can't give yourself over to simplicity and just sit down in your seat, totally just, go with the flow, go with the ride. That's what you need to do, which isn't hard for most people, to be honest, but it's the few analytical, logical, film cinephile people, or the jaded people, whatever. Honestly, in a lot of respects, I'm very analytical, I'm very logical, but I also know how to turn my brain off, which is exactly what you need to do with this film. And that's not to say that it's a dumb film or anything like that. It's not. It's smart in many ways. It's got a level of technical achievement that obviously you can't be a dummy to do that. Like I said, it all has a purpose. But in order to truly enjoy the film, you have to give yourself over to that simplicity. Don't allow yourself to fall into that trap, really, because you will enjoy the film that much more if you don't. It's just not worth it to do that. You're not giving up, you're not whatever. It's just, you gotta do that to just enjoy the film, enjoy life. I mean, it's just one of those things. Those are basically the main things you need to know. It's the fact that the technical visual achievement is just incredible, especially in 3D. Please go see it in 3D. And the fact that the story, if you allow it to, will connect with you and you will actually like it. And having said that, this type of story isn't exactly my favorite story. I love sci-fi, don't get me wrong, it's my favorite genre, but this exact, path that it's taken, it's not my favorite. But I still love the film, the experience, the characters, the story. Like I said, if you give yourself over to it, you're just gonna have a good time. Really, I can speak from experience, those moments that I'm talking about that are powerful, especially if you have a family of your own. Let's just say that a father praises his son. I felt that one. I'm not even joking, I really did. I felt it. It was a powerful moment. It's, you've seen it before, father-son dynamic. The son's always looking for approval, and then when he does something and the father notices it and, I see you, son. That happens in the movie. A little spoiler alert, but when I saw it in Avatar: The Way of Water, it was wrapped in the most beautiful packaging I've ever seen, and that really had the waterworks going for The Way of Water. And a quick James Cameron note, I freaking love the guy. He knows what he's doing. He's literally made history twice, could be a third time. Let this guy finish the series. I'm sure you've seen the stories, but if you haven't, if Avatar 2 doesn't do well, 4 and 5 aren't gonna happen. 3 is gonna happen no matter what. Just let him do it. That's history in itself. Making 5 films from the same director. Hopefully it's the same director, because he did mention he might pass off the reins to someone else. Don't do that, Cameron. Just stick with it. He'll make history in that regard. The fact that he spent so much time on these films, let's hope that they're all successful. I'm rooting for every single one of them to make $1 billion. This capitalist and whatever you want to call it, I really hope it does. I'm rooting for him. So did Avatar: The Way of Water live up to expectations? Because it had a lot of them. It was a sequel to the most successful film of all time, basically, with 3, 4, and 5 lined up from James Cameron, who's known as basically the king of making sequels that are either as good or better than the original. And he's done it twice with his own IPs. It's pretty incredible. It's a lot of pressure. I was nervous for him. Still kind of am. But did it live up to expectations? Yeah, it did. Like I said, it smashes the barrier of everything that was good about the first one, and it's even better now. He killed it. Hopefully the pandemic doesn't change what would have happened otherwise. Now, this did end up being a lot longer than I thought, probably. I'm just realizing when I edit this, it's probably going to be pretty long. But whether or not it is or not, this is better than what I was shooting before, so you're welcome. To sum up, Jake Sully in the film says, this is also a little spoiler, happiness is simple. In the film, he's talking about family. Happiness is family, and that's simple. That's in our genetics. That's what we're born to do, basically, is procreate. Obviously, not everyone can do that. That doesn't change the fact that that's the whole point of us existing, is to continue to reproduce, because if we don't, we all die. The human race is gone, which would be good for the earth, but not for us. So, happiness is simple. You know what else is simple? The story of this film. You know who doesn't care? Me. And you should too. every single person in the world, because happiness is simple. And the key to happiness is simplicity. Just watch the film, turn off your brain. Again, that's not discrediting the film. I'm just simply saying that is to don't say the same crap that everyone else does. Just enjoy the film. You won't regret it. Go see Avatar: The Way of Water. I love you. See it in 3D. I've seen it both ways. One slightly blurry, see it in 3D. Much better experience. I love it. That's it. MBW Movie Explorer, out. Okay, that's not my closing card. Just bye. Stay tuned. Avatar Exploration coming out next.